Good morning and welcome to my channel and Happy New Year to you all. It's been quite a while since I podcasted before. It was when I was just leaving for Northern Ireland before Christmas. And then just since then, life's just been really busy, so I haven't had a chance to come on here. But I thought I'd come on today and talk to you a bit about Game of Wool. I know it's been like a month since it was last on, but we'll forget that. I wanted to finish the series properly, so we'll be talking about that today. I hope you all had a good Christmas. We had a lovely one. We were in Northern Ireland with my family, went to my cousin's house and she cooked, so that was really nice. Two of my kids came over, so that was good. They managed to fly over without incident, so that was good. And yeah, we just had a really nice time. So yeah, let's talk about Game of Wool, episode 8, which is the final. I know, the final, can you believe it? So anyway, I've got my notes down here, so I'll keep looking down here if you wonder what I'm looking at. Because obviously I can't remember everything that happened and I've got to have notes because menopause brain. So yes, so first of all, they start off with a recap of the previous 7 episodes. Of course, 7 knitters have been cast off and only 3 remain, and it's the final. So Tom comes in and his outfit, oh my God, it's like iconic. So it's like a red jumper and trousers, and then a red jacket that is massive, great loops of yarn. He looks like a cross between a Muppet and I don't know, and the Honey Monster or something. It's just this huge big coat on him. They show that the winner will take home the Golden Needles and the title of Britain's Best Knitter, despite the fact there's crochet in there as well. Yes, I know, it's all good. So then our finalists come into the yarn barn, and the finalists are Holger, Lydia and Ailsa, the 3 of them. They've only got 2 more challenges. I've got a final group challenge and a final solo challenge, and this week they do the group challenge first, and this week the group challenge is to do a post box topper. So they get told that they've got to do a recreation of the Game of Wool world. They've got to create little figures of Di, Sheila and Tom, and they must be realistic looking, and they must be using techniques that they've used throughout the competition. They've got 12 hours. Holger asks, has anyone yarn bombed before? And they all sort of go, I'm thinking, none of you have yarn bombed. I've flipping yarn bombed. I've made paper postbox toppers, had them stolen as well actually, but I've made them. So I'm very surprised that they haven't had a go at that. But anyway, so Ailsa suggests a circular sofa to represent the sofa in the yarn barn, and then they can put the 3 little figures on there. And they decide that they're going to have like the rolling hills of Scotland in the background as well. So she also suggests a wee element to represent each of the previous contestants, which is a really nice idea. So Di and Sheila explain the challenges of creating 3D in miniature. They point out it'll be a celebration of everything they've done so far, and they have to include techniques like lace, intarsia, Fair Isle, and other techniques they've used, and everything they say has to be perfect. So the knitters start off with making their little characters, and to bring them to life, Holger will use loop stitch to do Tom's outfit, so Holger's doing Tom. Ailsa will make Sheila's jumper using tiny intarsia. So Ailsa is making Sheila, and Lydia is going to do miniature Fair Isle and a mini knitted hair accessory for Di's hair. So Tom comes for a chat with the judges, with the contestants rather, and they point out how fiddly and concentration inducing the characters are. He says the judges are looking for perfection and asks the contestants how they're going to deliver that, and there's another deathly silence. They all just sit there going, I don't know. Tom goes, okay, great. And they're all in hysterics, and there's definitely a feeling of slight hysteria. They're just kind of feeling a bit manic at this point. They then do a little wee side interview with each contestant. So Lydia's interviewed first, and she says the game has brought out the competitive side of her and has made her a better knitter for it. Holger considers himself a pessimistic perfectionist, striving for the best but never being happy with what he's done. And Ailsa says it's daunting being with Holger and Lydia as they're both so good, and she says she'd like to be considered as an ambassador for the craft once she's finished the game. Tom comes in at the halfway point, and oh my God, he's taken his loopy jacket off, and we can see his red jumper that he has underneath. it is manky. So the sleeve, I'm sure it's a designer. The sleeves are all raggedy and they look like my kids' cardigans used to look when they chewed them at school. They're all like ripped and holey. So I don't know what's going on with that. So anyway, they're at the halfway point, as I said, and the mini models are now complete and they're creating the world. So Ilsa's creating the Scottish hills. They look very ropey. They don't look like hills. They just look like stuffed bits of old jumper. They're doing elements for the contestants, as I said earlier. So they're doing a rainbow for Dipti, a walking stick for Tracy, a mini mace for Simon, and so on and so forth. Now it's the 1 hour mark and Lydia is furiously crocheting the top her base. Holger is covering the sofa. And then Ilsa loses Sheila's glasses. So she's moved Sheila from A to B and the glasses have fallen off somewhere in between. And the glasses are like these tiny little wire glasses. So they have a bit of a mad panic looking for those and they do find them. So it's all good. It's all good. With 3 minutes to go, they get the topper on and they're down to the last few seconds to secure it. And it looks amazing. The figures are so good. They just are absolutely brilliant. And they look like who they're meant to look like. They look like Di, Sheila and Tom. They really do. They're really good. I love doing realistic figures. Excuse me, a cup of tea. I love doing realistic figures. I did one time for a local charity. So there's a charity called Camp Mohawk. And they have a support worker. So it's a charity that runs an outdoor play centre for kids with special needs. And they've got a support worker called Alan. And they wanted a little figurine of Alan made. So I made it for them. So Alan had a ginger beard and he was bald, so his face was very recognisable. And his uniform, his work uniform, was blue trousers and a green jumper. So I did all that. And I copied it out of the Kerry Lord Edward's Doll Emporium, I think the book is called. And you can mix and match heads and bodies and bottoms. Anyway, so I gave it to them and they loved it. And what they used to do with Alan was they would hide Alan round the centre every day and get the kids to find him and see how many kids could find him. So they were really happy with him. So I just loved making the little figurine that looked exactly like Alan. It was brilliant. So yeah, so their 3 figurines are looking really like the people they're meant to represent. So Di and Sheila come back in and they love it. They're all full of wow, wow, wow and congratulations. With Holger's miniature Tom, they love the impact of the outfit and the detail in the jumper. And Holger says, "Oh, it was a gift this week. It was an absolute gift to do that." On Ilsa's one, Sheila, they love the intarsia, and on Lydia's one, Di is jumping for joy, but they spot some gapping at the top of the sleeves, which they're not. They say it had to be perfect. So they do love the lace hair accessory though. Regarding the top of the postbox topper, they're not sure what the green fields are, what the green things are. They kind of question those and they say, well, are they meant to be fields? It would have been nice if it had sheep in them. And there was one point at which the contestants said, oh, should we put some sheep in the fields? And they talked about taking their badges off and pinning their badges onto, which would have been a good idea, I suppose. So they don't really like the green fields. They do spot the elements for the previous contestants and say what a nice gesture that was. But the consensus is that a huge success and heartwarming to include everyone. Tom has had lots of witty comments about post-related things, about delivering on time and being first class. Oh, dear. Anyway, it's now time for the last solo challenge, the last big push, and they have to create a showstopper of a hat, is what they've been told to create. It has to be something that defines them as a knitter, shows off their skill and their story. It can be any yarn, any technique. It must be flawless execution and a signature style. It has to be fantastic construction and stitch choice, out of the ordinary. Has to have something of them in it. So the 3 hats they decided to make. Ilsa is making a retro design vintage Breton hat called, which is a kind of I'll insert a picture of it here. It's got houndstooth pattern, which is quite a Scottish design apparently, and it's got pink and green, and it's got made of 4 panels, 2 at the front, 2 at the back, and then a brim to sew it all together. Lydia has got a folded brim, then she's increasing to build up the hat. She's making a beret style, and she's making it with a Ghanaian from Ghana symbol, which stands for good family or something. And she's doing it in lovely colour work. And of course, she's dyed her own yarn because she's got a yarn dyeing business. So she dyed her own yarn. But she casts on too many stitches for the brim and can't be bothered, hasn't got time to rip it back. So she decides that she's just going to wing it and stick some elastic in to bring the brim in a bit. But I think she's quite disappointed, and Holger has to calm her down, bless him. Speaking of Holger, he's working on like a stocking cap. So it's like a wee willy winky cap. It's quite long. And it's got some Fair Isle colourwork pattern in the round, a very long point and a tassel on the end. And there's a lovely moment then between Tom and Holger where Holger says his journey has been such that he always wants to make people proud and always give more, but he feels like he's always disappointing people. It's very sad, actually. And he says specifically his parents would have dearly loved to have grandchildren, and clearly Holger has no kids. So he tries to compensate in other areas like knitting in this competition. And Tom says he had to overcompensate for feeling there was something wrong with him all his life. And he tells Holger the things he's created have been incredible, and Holger looks really proud at that moment. So that's a nice little moment between them. So we're a few hours in, and the knitters are working on the body of the hat, and then in come the judges. So Ilse's hat panels, the judges ask, what are the advantages of the hat panels rather than just knitting it all in one? And Ilse says really it was just doing the maths was too hard to do it otherwise. But of course the judges point out that it's important to have the houndstooth matching up on the seams of the hat, so that'll be quite tricky. They say it's tricky but crucial, has to happen. Tom speaks to Lydia, who's so relieved to be at the end of her journey. She says it's been one of her journey of motherhood. It has been such that knitting has been a constant in her life. Apart from when she was pregnant, she was really ill with she had twins, and she was really ill with them. And she couldn't knit while she was pregnant, and then I think that gave her a bit of a confidence dent afterwards, which she's now overcome, and being in the final has given her a massive confidence boost, she says. Holger's a bit panicked, a bit stressed about time, but he's not quite panicking yet. He says he can hide the decreases in his cable pattern, that he's done the maths. The judges appreciate the skill involved and say that it's very skillful what he's doing. The judges are kind of going, oh, how are you going to make these decreases? But he's very confident that he's done the maths and it'll work out all right. And then Ilse reveals her interest in knitting, including historical knitting, and the role that it played in intelligence. Apparently agents would knit their intelligence into their pieces by way of secret messages of Morse code. So she's including Morse code by way of lace for the dashes. Is that right? Lace for the dashes, I think of the word there. And pearl bumps for the dots. So she's including some secret coding in her hat. Lydia is working on elasticating her brim. Ilse is sewing up. And Holger is still working towards the pointy end, and it's all getting very stressy at the 30-minute mark, lots of frantic sewing and knitting. So Ilse is the first finish, closely followed by Lydia, but Holger is still knitting, and it's literally counting down the second, and he manages it just in time and gets his tassel on, or they've edited to make it looks like he gets there just in time, I don't know. So now it's time for the judging. So Ilse's hat, they say, is lovely. It's very stylish and they love the shape. They discover the secret message, which has got 3 letters, Game of Wool, G-O-W. They have some issue with the sewing of the pieces together, so the seaming's not quite right. But overall, they think it's a lovely, stylish hat. Lydia's hat, they say, is delightful. They can tell the yarn is hand-dyed. It's a very original design, but they spot that there were too many stitches in the brim in the beginning. And then moving on to Holger's hat, they say it's really nice, great construction. They love how the cable zigzag comes all the way down to one stitch, and they compliment him on his maths skill to get that right. They love the Fair Isle. They say it's very original and very Holger. So it's time to announce the winner, and the yarn barn is full of the previous week's pieces, and the previous contestants all come back too to see the winners, and some family members arrive. So the judges have a little chat about the 3 hats. They say all 3 really reflect the contestants. Ilse's is quirky, funny and very detailed, just reflects her well. Lydia's stitchwork is very good and the hat's fabulous. And Holger's is very original design. Very difficult to judge because they're all so good. But they've decided. And the big announcement is that the winner is Holger. Well, we all knew Holger was going to win. He was a step above everybody else, wasn't he? The judges say all 3 should be very proud. And Britain's best knitter is Holger, and he gets given the golden needles. He's a bit teary almost, says it's very overwhelming, but the main thing is the friendships he's made. Oh, so that's the end of Game of Wool. Did you enjoy it? Did you watch it? Did you watch to the end? I've made it quite clear in all my episode recaps that I loved it. I think you have to not take it too seriously, just kind of go with the flow. But I absolutely loved it, and I really hope they do a second series. So anyway, with that, I shall say goodbye, and I'll see you later. Bye.